in the book, when I put the book together, I came across this idea of challenging our structures, our business structures. I also do 9001 consulting. I help companies develop their quality management systems to control the outcomes and outputs of their business. And 9001 doesn't give you answers, it just says we want these things to happen and you choose yourself how you make them happen. And one of those is how do you organise your people to get some value out of that. So I wanted to just put some mathematical investigation into what structure pays off the best. And what I realised when I had a look at our hierarchical structure, it's actually a series process. It goes from shop floor to supervisor to manager. As the decision comes back this way, the question goes up that way. So we actually built a structure that is sequential in the way it operates. So I thought, well, okay, let's look at what chance there is of things occurring as we would like to see them. Now, what we know in an average company, they're typically in the order of 2.5, 3.5 sigma outcomes. So I had an idea of what this little business would do on an average company, between about a 3 sigma error rate. That's what I expect typically what companies deliver until they get into serious quality control systems. So I began to say, okay, well, for me to get 3 sigma output of the business, I've got to start with an error rate of my people at 0.7. So I've just said, look, and I'm just playing with numbers here just to try and put some meat into this idea of what's the best structure to use. So I said, okay, well, these 3 guys are in a process. This person feeds him his work, this person feeds him his work. So we've got a series process of making whatever this particular product is. So I've got a sequential process of 3 steps. Each person is a step, and we know they must be making errors of about 3 errors in 10 times to get to the 3 sigma output for the whole business. So I've got the reliability of this particular level. I then say, okay, well, in a series process, I can model the effect of the supervisor. So here I've put the supervisor in parallel. His job is to be in parallel with his work crew. Now, this is actually a work group. But his function in this setup is to be overviewing and double checking and monitoring what these guys are doing. So he's in parallel with his work team. So model in parallel, and this system of 3 guys produces a reliability of 0.8. So 80% of what they do is acceptable to the standards the company requires. Then I say, well, hang on, manager is in parallel with supervisors as well, because his job is to monitor and observe and instruct supervision. So he is acting in a parallel activity. So when I do that, I get an output of 15 in 100. So around about the 3 sigma output of the total system. But what interested me was the difference these people make. When I put a supervisor in parallel in this sort of arrangement here, his effect on the performance of the outcome of that whole group is a huge factor in the total result of that operation. Same with the manager. When I put him in parallel in a silo structure, he is a huge factor in the success of that silo structure. So I've got a business where 2 people in that business make a massive difference to the performance of that business. The manager, supervisor. And if they are wrong, if they make the wrong choices, misunderstand the process, misunderstand the way the business is meant to work, don't understand anything about quality control and reliability, then they have their decisions, their position puts the company at huge risk of many things going wrong. So it gave me an idea of modelling a business in terms of the chance of success of this group and of that department and of that company. And the chance of success is dependent very much on the supervision and management level, because that's the way this particular structure works. And if I've got people in those roles that are not very good in those roles, the business will perform badly because their input has such a huge effect on what the business does. Then I say, okay, let's look at what the Japanese are doing. They're creating workplace teams. And so what's the benefit of a workplace team? So in that case, I've changed the structure to this one here. Now we have a team of 4 people. The supervisor is part of this workplace team. He's not called a supervisor. I've left it the same name to be able to explain where it comes from in the previous design. But this team now is running with a accuracy controlled enterprise approach. So the error rate per person, because we have a properly designed process the guys are well trained to do, the error rate comes much, much better. So we go from 0.7, 3 errors in 10, to 1 error in 10, because we have procedures and training and good feedback to the guys as to how they're going. With him as a group, we have a very high chance of success. We go from a 0.7 to a 0.97 chance of success with him, working as a team. He is not bossing anybody. He is guiding, providing assistance, providing advice, bouncing ideas off people, training them up, encouraging them to follow the design process. Then I add in the manager. And when I add in the manager, he makes very little difference, because this team is full of experts. This is a team of guys that know what they're doing. They can solve their own problems. They have information moving across each other's, through each other. They bring information in. This guy can go out and search for information. So this structure here produces a high chance of success compared to this structure here, where the chance of success depends upon 2 guys. So interesting, whether this is actually accurate in the way I've modelled that, but it reflected what I see in the real world. I know that if I have a lousy manager, that department doesn't go so well. Things go wrong. My supervisor doesn't understand the process of managing people and running that business. He'll make bad choices, and they flow through to bad outcomes. So it reflected what I'd seen in industry myself across my career. So I began to think, well, maybe there is something here that explains why a silo structure is a poor decision, whereas a team, an autonomous team full of knowledgeable guys, very powerful. So the Japanese concept of teamwork, hey, to me, the evidence is very clear. The chance of success is so much greater in a knowledgeable team full of guys that know what they're doing compared to a silo structure full of guys that maybe don't know what they're doing.